Throughout the American landscape in the 19th century, folk music took the century by storm as artists promoted nationalism and patriotism in the time surrounding the Civil War. Spanning from 1861 to 1865, the Civil War raged as the North and South fought over fundamental differences regarding government and slavery. Throughout this century, marked by progress and struggle, folk music took on many different forms as Irish influence and patriotic works riddled the nation. In addition, the progression of music publication led to the integration of folk tunes by popular artists, including Stephen Collins Foster and Henry Clay Work, into the American household. Through our interview with John Wells, Civil War historian and folk musician, we can better understand the progression of the folk music scene during the 1800s, the relationship between war music, and the rise of popular songwriters. Although this period had an influx of war-related tunes, music still served as entertainment as artists composed typical love songs, humorous songs, patriotic songs, and narrative ballads. This period, however, did see an influx of cultural development as people immigrated from Germany, England, and Ireland in the 1860s, which led to a distinctly German flavor in much of the folk music and dance of this period. America became a cultural melting pot as it took on different practices and musical experiences. In addition to outside influences, Negro spirituals of the South found their way into the minds of composers and folk musicians across the country, the most famous of which being Stephen Collins Foster, also known as the father of American music. In an article written by the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica, it is stated that Stephen Foster was born on July 4, 1826, in Lawrenceville, Pennsylvania. He died on January 13, 1864, in New York, New York. His influence came from several different backgrounds. These included black churches, Negro workers, and minstrel shows. His works were highly anticipated by the public, and the songs were very memorable and catchy. His work aimed at caring for the public and showing that even though people may be different regarding their ethnic backgrounds, every person had a longing for a family and love. The emotional aspect of his works seemed to hit the heart of every listener. Even today, Foster's works are remembered and even paid tribute to. Here is an example of Percy Granger remembering Foster's work.
I came down there when my hat caved in. Do-da, do-da. I go back home with a pocket full of tin. Oh, do-da-day.
Colonel, sir. It's a fine morning.
Captain Spear, are we ready?
Sir, that we are.
Well, then let's move out.
20th Maine! Forward! March!
Music was used to rally both sides of the war. These songs helped arouse spirit in the soldiers and support from the community on both the Confederate side and the Union side. There were also political songs that mocked the opposing sides of the war. These types of songs caused the anger and hatred for the other to remain kindled and to keep the fight in the soldiers. Music was also used to soothe the fear and worry amongst the civilian population. This music helped calm the fears of mothers with sons fighting and wives with husbands far away. Music was also used to rally support from the public during political rallies where patriotic songs would be performed and played. Music is seen in this time as a way to get an emotional rise from each specific party. Through the rise of the music industry and publication during these years, music began to spread faster across the country and gain popularity faster. Although the music was popular during these years for different reasons, the music that was so loved then has quickly died out, and very few are even aware of the sounds of the Civil War era. Few musicians today carry on the traditions of the time, but every now and then small groups will get together to relive the past and to help others experience what history can only speak of. John Wells is a musician that lives in a small town called Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania. He lives amongst the rolling hills and the vast fields of Pennsylvania country where Civil War battles and history is commonly lived. Hollidaysburg is only 3 hours from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where one of the most famous battles occurred. Here, the Gettysburg Address was given, and today resides a town that thrives off the income from local museums and Civil War festivals that are commonly held. John Wells is very active in the reenactment of Gettysburg battles that are so well known in history books. His specific interest and speciality is in the musical side of these wars. He heads down to Gettysburg to help sing in these reenactments and play in the bands to show the public what it would have been like during those years. John Wells also dives into the different styles of music that were around during this time. Some of these songs include soldier songs, which were sung by troops on the march. Songs were also sung in taverns where a lot of music was shared. Most music was played at home, especially with the rise and popularity of sheet music and the piano. Dance was probably one of the largest forms of entertainment during this time. These dances were very structured. They were group dances with specific sets and figures. The songs to these specific dances have to be very metered to match the dance, and they were very organized. Some dances were known as jigs, reels, polkas, and more. The dancing comes from several different cultures such as Polish, Irish, English, and much more. The immigrants brought over their dances and music, and America mixed it all together to create a very exciting night of dancing. John Wells has hosted several barn dances in his very own barn that is located on his property. His wife creates dresses and gowns and designs them to be authentic according to the time. At these barn dances, different bands come and perform songs that were authentic to the time period. With the dresses, the barn, and the music, one would almost feel as if they were back in time. John Wells reflects on his time involved in this style of music, and he has very positive remarks on his experiences. He states that the barn dances were his favorite due to the community that they create. He also says something that I thought was very interesting about the impact this style of music has on music today.
People write songs on topics that are close to their heart. And so as long as people are willing to express their heart through music, there's a connection.
Yeah.
And then if you know, the thing that they wrote that song about 200 years ago, like if it's a love song that was written 200 years ago, I mean, there's one that the Virginia Company used to do. The poem was written by Robert Burns, Scotland's poet laureate. Mm-hmm. My love is like a red, red rose. It's been recorded a number of times, but the song and the sentiment are close to 300 years old. Well, love hasn't gone out of style yet.
Even though this music may be older and date back more than 100 years ago, we find the same emotions being felt today. Starting way before the time of the Civil War, music has been used to influence those around us, and, as we can see through the interview with John Wells, that music is still as influential today as it was then.